Awesome. Well, I think we can get started. I know this session is being recorded, so if anyone arrives a little late, we can always they can always rewind if they need to. But just to introduce myself to kick things off, I'm Joe Moraski, so I help manage our AWS partnership here at Trend Micro. So reInvent is obviously near and dear to my heart. We also have a couple other experts joining us to talk about some of their key takeaways and key findings from AWS reInvent this year, which was super exciting for Trend Micro as a whole. I know that we were able to accomplish so much with partners much like yourselves, as well as with AWS, and from an innovation side, really release some captivating technology and updates to the way that we can assist customers and drive that success. Um, so just to kind of dive in overall to what we really saw at reInvent, and I know that from a, I guess, holistic standpoint or a high level standpoint, one thing that stood out to myself was Gen AI was at the top of the food chain for everyone, it seemed like. And I know from everything from their release of the new assistant Amazon Q, which sort of stole the show, that seemed to be what a lot of people were talking about, as well as, from a more customer centric standpoint, cost optimization also seemed to be top of mind to a lot of the customers that we're working with, as well as AWS, and trying to drive customers to more of an efficient cloud migration as they start to adopt it, alongside maintaining that security base with Trend Micro. So I know that those are the two main takeaways that I had from a high level standpoint with AWS. But I also wanted to make sure that we highlighted what our experts did accomplish here at reInvent. I know we have Fernando, Shannon, and Kate here from Trend Micro. I'll start with Fernando, who is the director of product marketing here at Trend Micro, and I'll allow him to introduce himself in a second here. But he was able to speak at several of our events. One of which was actually a presentation made at AWS reInvent. I believe it was his first time leading a presentation at reInvent formally, around bringing security to the boardroom. So Fernando, if you wanted to chat a little bit around what that was on, and really what you took away from that experience.
I think it was thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Great to see you, everybody. Was pretty awesome experience presenting the AWS reInvent. I've been participating in the AWS reInvent for probably 8 years already. And it's been like part of the event, and like in multiple sessions and couple different like engagements is pretty unique. But I think the interesting part after the session, right, and talking with some of the customers that came after, was so many organizations is still struggling heavily with the risk, right, and how they are bringing that information to their executives and their like C levels, right? And one of the key takeaways that I took from like talking with some companies, right, was around how we are being able to now with the Vision One to simplify that aggregation of like assets that they have across the entire organization, and how we are simplifying the risk scoring to create the risk prioritization, and also the simplicity with the risk index, where the C levels can bring that visibility and that information for a better communication with the board, right? And I think it's sometimes we get for granted, like, because we live and see the risk index and all that thing for us. It looks a very basic thing for us. But when you talk with a customer and you see how they are struggling on like mapping those risks, it is pretty unique. We should be like a very bold and go to the customers and try to help them with that risk visibility, because it's a very unique thing that we are doing on the platform today.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Fernando. And we also have Shannon Murphy here, who I believe on LinkedIn, I saw one of the attendees of your presentation around AI say it was the most informative AI presentation that he saw at reInvent. So Shannon is our global security and risk strategist here at Trend Micro, and also AI expert. So I will pass it over to Shannon to talk a little bit about what she presented on, and her takeaways from that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Joe, and thanks for having me here. I'm always super excited to have the chance to talk to our channel partners. Hey, I'll start off by saying there's no experts, and if anyone claims they're an expert in generative AI, move along because it's moving so fast right now that truly we are just like building the plane as we're flying it with how quickly things are moving. But yeah, it was a really nice comment that I heard from one of the attendees. But what I talked about at AWS reInvent was setting the reality essentially of what the cyber risks are when we're looking at generative AI, and also where our opportunities are as defenders to also leverage this technology to our advantage. I was able to speak to a few of the people who came to the session after the talk, and what I found kind of speaking with everyone is that there's a real hunger for details. Where that comment came from was a lot of vendors, technology providers, people who are developing these types of apps. They're so excited right now. They just want to show off their chatbot, essentially. But what customers and what users are really looking for are for the details. How is this working? What is my risk? Where can I see where my employees are using this type of technology so that I can start to get ahead of different concerns like data loss and model poisoning and all of these other sorts of things that could go wrong. Fundamentally, though, my key takeaway for everyone was to get ahead of the adversaries and to really set the pace when we're talking about generative AI from a risk and resiliency perspective. We have to embrace it. And with Trend Vision 1, we're so excited about what we're building from an AI and ML and also generative AI perspective to help defenders do exactly that.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Shannon. And I know we're going to be speaking a little more on AI in this presentation for sure. But this is definitely meant to be a discussion. So if anyone that is joined right now, we would love to hear more around how partners are taking advantage of AI with their customers as well, and where they see security fitting in. So if you have any questions or you want to start a discussion, feel free to put that in the chat, and we'll be sure to get to those once we start diving into a little bit more of the meat of the presentation. But would love to hear from you guys on what you're seeing from a Gen AI standpoint, or even innovation in general. So with that, I will also pass it over to the last presenter we have on the call, Kate, who is our Vision 1 project leader with Trend Micro, who spent a lot of time at the Trend Micro booth, talked to a lot of the customers and partners that stopped by. So I wanted to get Kate's opinion a little bit more on what she saw from a booth standpoint, what she saw from the successes, and share a little of those with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. So again, my name is Kate McIntyre. Happy to see everyone on the call today. I worked the booth at reInvent for 4 days, and with 65,000 attendees, man, were my feet killing me at the end of it. We had a ton of people stop by the booth. We were hosting a scavenger hunt type challenge with Vision 1. So for 10 minutes, anyone and everyone was welcome to take a seat, go through the console, answer questions. And we built the challenge in a way that even if you knew nothing about Trend Micro, knew nothing about Vision 1, even knew nothing about security, take a stab at it, learn something, get some visibility, and kind of echoing what Fernando said about Vision 1's capability around visibility within the cloud. I had people of all different job descriptions talk to me about, being able to see everything within their AWS environments, because Vision 1 can support over 80 of the AWS technologies. And I don't think they realized how important it is to be able to see everything in one place and have great context around what they're seeing as well, instead of it just kind of being piecemeal together across, different environments. So that was probably the biggest piece of feedback. Again, whether you're security, I had a data analyst, I had a CFO, I had all kinds of people sit down, and that was their biggest communal thought, was just how much of their cloud environments they could see, digest, and respond to. So that was a big takeaway in the booth. And yeah, we were super busy that week.
That's awesome. And Kate being our literal boots on the ground at
Yes.
reInvent, she is also going to lead a few slides or lead the conversation on a few slides on sales plays and what we're seeing from a partner standpoint when it comes to AI as well. So that will be one of the last components of this webinar. So definitely anxious to hear and sort of bring those action items to life that we found out at the booth. So with that, to move along to the other most important piece of reInvent is really just an overall celebration of what we were able to accomplish over those 3 days, right? It was a whole team effort. It was a partner effort. It was a customer effort. And I know that from the very beginning, we had at Yardbird, which we rented out for 3 whole days, looked great, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner. We were able to jam an agenda in that I'm still not sure how we were able to accomplish with many of our partners that attended, many of our customers that attended. So thank you all if you were there. I know that it started off with a very successful channel breakfast, which our channel leader led alongside Fernando, who spoke around trend innovation, which we'll dive into in a few seconds here, actually, as well as just learning from you and other channel leaders around how can we drive success together in 2024 around some of these strategic initiatives that we're seeing at customers. How can we best partner? How can we best partner with AWS after seeing where they're heading in the future? So that was a great way to start. And then heading into the next day, the innovation breakfast, which really just took that conversation to a whole nother level around, okay, how do we successfully guide customers to where they want to go in 2024, 2025, given their strategic initiatives? And so those are those were two huge events that we were able to throw at Yardbird alongside our channel partners. We were also able to work with some of our customers like Amazon Studios, who was presented with an award around trend innovation and utilizing some of the components that Fernando's going to speak to in a couple minutes in order to drive success at Amazon Studios. So it was awesome just to see the energy of not only the trenders, but our partners in crime, if you will, as well as our customers sort of all come together to try to drive success going forward and learning from one another around not only how we can drive that success, but also, what can we improve upon? Where have we seen some of those bottlenecks and how do we work around those or break through them? So it was overall, I felt like, a little bit like my hair was on fire at times for sure, moving from meeting to meeting. I can't imagine what, Fernando, Shannon, and Kate felt like alongside that. But I know that at the end of the day, it was very successful to learn from you, to learn from our customers, and to learn from AWS. So wanted to do a quick shout out to everyone involved in that before we really get started on the meat of the presentation, Fernando. And I want to kick off this presentation with a poll question to you, because I know we were able to learn a little bit from a strategic initiative standpoint, as I mentioned, from our customers, from our partners, but we want to make sure to understand exactly from your standpoint, where do you see those partnership opportunities lying ahead in 2024? What are the customers you're working with talking about? What are those partners that you're working with talking about? So feel free to vote in the poll that just popped up before we really get started, because we'd love to hear from you too. Awesome. And so while that poll is happening, I know that we have an hour, so I wanted to pass it over from there to Fernando to
Or-
It would
start.
be,
To Shannon.
I think it would
Or
be
to
Shannon
yeah,
first.
sorry, Shannon. My bad, Shannon. So I wanted to pass it over to Shannon to talk a little bit more about AI as promised and what she took from reInvent on that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joe. Looking forward to hearing more from Fernando in just a moment. But like I said earlier, generative AI really took over the show floor, media coverage, the talks. Everything was really focused on generative AI. And we saw this starting to creep up earlier this year at different trade shows, but really the coverage has been nothing like this until now. We've had LLMs, GPTs, readily available to users for just about 12 months now. It really started to pick up pace around December last year. And what's so interesting about this technology is, unlike other technologies of the past, everyone kind of got it at the same time. When we look, 100 years ago, over, more, even more, at things like the car, internet, these are all things that rolled out relatively slowly and were adopted in waves. For generative AI, we are using it, individuals are using it, grandparents are using it, and it's very much being so widely adopted at such a rapid rate. And of course, there's massive security implications that we need to be thinking of due to that pace of play. Like I mentioned earlier, users are hungry for details. They don't just want demos. They're looking for advice around how to safely adopt AI, responsible use. They're looking for advice for building their own AI applications and how to do that in a safe way to protect both themselves, their customer data, and the people interacting with those apps as well. So while there was a ton of coverage, it was definitely warranted. I did want to reflect a little bit on Trend's own AI journey. This is something that has been very foundational to our business for up to 20 years that we've been doing this. However, it's not always been something that we've talked about. So I just wanted to touch base, go back 20 years and reflect on what that journey has actually looked like as we integrated AI and machine learning into different parts of our product portfolio. And now, as we've made this true business transformation to become a platform company, how those benefits, 10x really, and how the benefits to our customers just become so much more stronger. So if we go back all the way, when we're looking at the types of attacks that we were contending with a couple decades ago, these were things like spam detection, malware detection, and we were using things like supervised machine learning capabilities to detect new malware samples that would go undetected with kind of more legacy signature-based approaches. So that was a really important evolution from a detection perspective. And what we are doing there is we are using AI during pre-execution and also during application runtime in order to detect that malware. However, fast forward 20 years, a huge issue that our customers and your customers are facing are malwareless or living fileless or living off the land attacks. So now what we're able to do with the latest evolution in generative AI is that we can now use this technology to decode different living off the land processes or scripts in order for security analysts to very quickly understand the intention of that script, say it's a PowerShell script, for example, so that they can now get ahead of attacks and respond to attacks much, much faster. So whether we're looking at AI and machine learning applications, or if we're looking at really new and novel generative AI use cases, we're really looking across the board on how AI can accelerate our both our teams and also our customers. A couple other things that we're doing is on email. We know that email has long time been the go-to tool for hackers. It's the lowest effort, highest ROI attack vector out there. And we're doing things like sentiment analysis, which is going to be so important during an age of AI-generated phishing or business email compromise attacks. So what we can do is that we can get an understanding for the tone and style of an executive, for example. And when we notice a shift in tone, that automatically flags an alert or automatically deletes or quarantines that email, for example, in order to get ahead of impersonation from legitimate senders. What we're also doing is AI-powered computer vision analysis. So another risk when we're looking at email-based attacks is an email link, a malicious link, bringing people over to a fake login page. With computer vision, even when that login page looks exactly the same, we're able to let the security team know. Anyways, these are just a handful of use cases that we're doing. There's many, many more, but this is an area that Trend has been investing in and continues to invest in, which we'll explore in this next slide here. For Trend, as I mentioned, we've gone from having multiple kind of portfolios to truly becoming a centralized platform company through Trend Vision One. And AI is absolutely at the foundation of everything that we're doing in Trend Vision One. A great example of that is our first to market generative AI assistant, who we named Companion. And we're so excited about this evolution. This was really driven by a customer demand, where we're seeing other vendors in the market, they're still in private preview or they're still in testing. Maybe a couple hundred people have access to that assistant today. For us, all 13,000 Vision One users have access to Companion and are actively using it today to accelerate security operations. So we're really excited about what we're doing from a generative AI perspective. Lastly, and we'll talk about this a little bit more as well, it's going to be so important for every single company to boost their internal AI IQ. Previously, we heard things like every company is a software company. Now we're moving to a place where really every company is an AI company, and we need to be investing in our people to do that. One of the ways that Trend is doing that is through an AI contest, which we launched in September. And we just had everyone come back home. We sent 1,500 trenders to Japan, where they worked on different innovation projects, which we'll actually be building next year through this dedicated program that we're doing to boost our own internal IQ on this technology. And how does this affect the channel? Let's take a look on the next slide here. AI is also fueling our own internal business operations. And we're doing this in a few different ways. We've built internal assistants and we've developed different generative AI models to improve account management for our own sellers and our own customer success team members. So we're analyzing that customer data and we're helping sellers by better understanding the customer environment and surfacing the right solutions at the right time and prioritizing those opportunities in order to find new areas of expansion and opportunity. From a channel perspective, we know that customers are interested in pursuing and defining their AI strategy, so they can certainly benefit from partner consultation on best practices. So as part of that consultation, customers need to think about data protection and security, and also what products are available to achieve those goals. Trend and others can help customers along this journey, and you certainly will be playing a role in that as well. And lastly, expanding customer value and return on investment based off of their existing cyber investments. So making it much easier for security analysts and users to come up to speed much more quickly and get more out of the tools that they've already purchased by using different tools like Companion. With that, I think, let me just touch on this really quickly, and then I think that we need to rush ahead to Fernando. But I did actually really want to touch on how we're actually making it easy for customers to adopt AI with confidence. And of course, we're a security company, so we're putting safe use and privacy first. In the way that we've built Companion, we've put in really substantial and thoughtful controls that isolate Companion from other LLM instances, so no data is being shared out and then coming back. We're also taking it a step further to make sure that all sensitive information, personal identification information, are intercepted and anonymized and returned back in the response with an anonymized response. we're also helping organizations see what their employees are using. This is such an important first step. So Trend Vision 1 can detect over 200 generative AI apps today, including all of your favorite name brands, so that you can track, monitor, and prevent things like data loss directly from within Vision 1. And lastly, like we said, this isn't new to us. We've been doing this for a few decades now. We've constantly been innovating. We've constantly been at the forefront. So our customers are truly benefiting from an R&D, engineering-driven, and now AI-driven, really at the forefront of our engineering efforts, with a cyber partner who's really been focused in this area and continues to innovate over time. I would love to dig into all of the companion use cases, but I think I'm getting the kind of hook off stage. So we have plenty of material on companion. We'll be certain to follow up with different demo material as well as blogs as well. But there's lots that we're doing today to serve different use cases, including around threat hunting, detection and response, script decoding, and also just accelerating things like reporting. Nobody wants to do paperwork, so how can we make that easier? Thank you so much for having me, and I will pass it over now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon, for walking through that. I know this is obviously on the top of mind to everyone. So if you ever have any customers around wondering how to leverage AI, as Shannon mentioned, we are an expert. We've been doing this for a while when it comes to security and leveraging AI and automation to assist customers. So I'm more than happy to work with you if you have any questions, especially around Companion. So with that, I will pass it over to Fernando now, who can talk a little bit more around how Trend is innovating from a Vision 1 standpoint as well. So you got the AI, now you have Vision 1. So Fernando, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shannon, for connecting very well like the AI with like our platform. Some of the things that I want to bring it up, like it is just like first point here, if you can pass to the next slide, please, Joe.
Yeah.
It is the ability for us to shifting from the security tooling to the cybersecurity platform. This is being like a pretty heavy lift from our side and like a big investment and like how we are improving the silo technologies that we have before with like a different consoles and bringing all that together to a single pane of glass with our platform, merging the ability for you to manage the email, endpoint, cloud, network, OT, and third-party integrations that we are providing. And on top of that, with the AI, the companion AI from Trend Micro, where it helps the SOC operations, and we are also planning to edit like the company AI in more different like use cases to help the SOC operations and the cloud teams across multiple management perspectives. If you go to the next one, Joe, please. One of the important points that we launched during this event with AWS was 2 new capabilities with the Vision 1 Cloud Security, right? The first one, it is the ASRM for Cloud, where we allow and we help organizations to bring that risk visibility to the platform, where partners can start integrating the co-brand cyber risk assessment and helping with like a more broad visibility, not just the cloud misconfigurations, but also the vulnerability and also some additional insights about their risks in the cloud. The second part that is correlated with the XDR for Cloud, where we are connecting all the telemetry coming from like the workloads, the containers, but also coming from the CloudTrail from AWS as one example, where you can start detecting suspicious activities on the AWS accounts that the customer may have. One of the partners that we work together was Capgemini, where we create like a Cloud SOC Essentials kind of like a bundle where they are consuming and utilizing Vision 1 platform with the XDR and the integration with the CloudTrail to provide that capability for customers and automate some process of like notification and also remediation in the cloud, depending in the case that they need with their customers. And the third part here, it is just bringing the ability that we have of like the protection, right? Customers, for sure, it's important to bring the detection, the visibility, but also the protection is something very key for us, where customers can protect their runtime Doesn't matter where they are. It could be in their data center, it could be in their like cloud infrastructure. But the idea here is protecting the workloads, containers, and also files that could be running across the organization. And the partners can create some different like approach of like services with like these three major buckets when we talk about cloud security. And if you go to the next slide, we have like a little bit more details about like how partners could be creating some of those ideas, right? When we talk about the attack surface risk management for cloud, there's many new capabilities that we launched together during like the AWS reInvent around the contextual visibility of the cloud assets, the cloud asset risk assessment, the cloud asset inventory visibility, where we starting mapping how many assets you have in the cloud infrastructure. We collected the details of like AWS, Azure, GCP, and we bring all that together for the customer's visibility. The agentless ability for malware and also vulnerability scanning in specific workloads that you don't have the security agent deployed. And a preview for the API risk visibility, where we can start understanding how many API gateways the customers have, how many API endpoints. And from there, we bring like a quick visibility saying, oh, you have like 10,000 API endpoints and like 5,000 of them, they have authentication, the rest doesn't. And you can start working with the DevOps and the development team to starting applying the authentication as one example for the API, right? But the idea with the attack surface risk management, it is simplify how we are bringing that risk visibility across the entire organization, not just connecting the regular endpoints or the email or the identity, but also bringing the visibility for the cloud together on that same pane of glass. The second part, it is the XDR, integrating with, as I mentioned, with the CloudTrail, but also centralizing the telemetry coming from the container runtime and also the workloads, where they can start applying different like detection models or even custom detection models based in their searching and their incident response team. And in the protection side, one of the things that we put it as a public preview and we have like pretty good conversations with customers was around the hybrid cloud file security protection, where right now you can basically scan files anywhere. We are giving the ability for customers to utilize our SDK, where they can deploy those SDK inside one application in their data center or in the cloud, and we can scan those files on the fly, right? In real time, and they can give like a feedback to the application, say, this is malicious, this is not malicious, and they can see all that visibility of those files being scanned in the same platform with the Vision One. The next part that we launched as part of the reInvent, right, was the assessment, the risk, the cyber security assessment. And if you can go to the next slide, Joe, please. This is like a quick view of like the cyber security assessment, where partners can start working with customers using the CSPM capability or the cloud posture assessment, external attack surface risk management, where we can edit like IPs and domains from the applications that is public facing and is scanning for like vulnerabilities and bring that like assessment of the risk to the same visibility here. Exchange and email, kind of like a risk assessment. But the second point here that Joe was basically showing, it is after you connect to those cloud accounts, how I can see that information, right? And we bring like a pretty nice dashboard showing like all the findings, how many like checks we run across the entire organization, how many are like extreme, very high, or high risk that they should be taking care quickly because the risk level of like the cloud misconfigurations. And then we also map with different compliances and standards, right? AWS Architecture Framework, CIES, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, SOC 2, NIST, and many others, right? That you could be connecting here. But here's like just a quick visibility where we could show like the top 5 or the top 6 major standards and frameworks that could help organizations to minimize their risk and also see how they are compliant with specifically standards and frameworks that they need to be compliant with. Going to the next one, here's like a quick view on how we are aggregating all that information about the risk with the risk index, right? when you start in collecting the visibility from like the devices, internet-facing assets, accounts, the identity, the cloud apps or the applications that the customers are accessing on, and also the cloud assets coming from the cloud connections with AWS, Azure, and GCP. We bring all that information and we normalize that data and we starting applying the risk scoring. When we apply the risk scoring, we create the risk index here to show where it is the average from your organization of the risk, and that could be improving or help you to understand where you are and what you should be doing to decrease that risk level for your organization in the future, right? If you see on the left side here under the 6 to 1, you have the risk factors. And when you click in those risk factors, you can drill down in more details to understand how you can minimize and create the risk prioritization to minimize those risks in the customer's environment, as one example. If you go to the next one, please, Joe. Basically, when you click in the cloud assets visibility, this is like a quick view on how we are aggregating the cloud assets list with like a virtual machines, containers, cluster, serverless, data storage, databases, and IAM. And then we organize by risk levels. If you just select the VMs, you see like all the most critical assets of the virtual machines levels or the containers, clusters, and all those kind of things. But this is like a quick view of like all your cloud accounts that you have from like AWS, Azure, and GCP. That could be helping a customer with like a better understanding, like how many assets they have across the entire organization. The next one that is just helping you with like what is the common customer challenge and how do we map that with the technology in the platform, right? Basically, it is showing like the things that customers usually bring to us as a challenge, like for example, lack of centralized risk visibility and prioritization. How could we help that with the customer, right? ASRM for cloud, it is a good answer for this. Complex way to investigate incidents across the entire environments. For example, some of the interesting things that I have been talking with customers that they are challenged it is the SOC teams are very disconnected with the cloud security teams, right? And what that means it is actually the SOC operations has a pretty good visibility of their endpoints, email, network. But what when they start to talk about like containers and also cloud environments, when the cloud security teams came to the SOC saying like, oh, I have an incident, we need to do a better investigation in those environments, they will say, I don't have a way to help you. Like, how do you want me to help you if we don't have like the visibility, right? The lack of connectivity between the cloud security tools sometimes with the SOC operations, it's being a little lack of integrations and full centralized visibility. And this is one of the areas that I believe we can all help the customers with like a better integrations between the technologies for a single XDR platform, right? Where they can have like and do a better detection response across the entire organization. And the last part, it is just like a couple major points that the customer usually talk around the runtime protection and how we could help them protecting those workloads are running like in hybrid infrastructure, containers that could be running in the EKS clusters, Kubernetes or OpenShift or any kind of like a technology from containers across different like environments. And the last piece, it is the protection of the files, and could be like in cloud storage systems or it could be files inside the application that could be running or being uploaded to different like buckets or different storage systems across multiple cloud providers. I think this is just like a couple top mind customer challenges that we see, and we help with the new Vision One cloud security platform approach. I don't know if there is any specific questions in the chat that we could answer, but looks like no, right?
Yep. Looks like
yeah.
No, looks like we are all good. Thank you so much, Fernando.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's a perfect segue because as Fernando highlighted those customer challenges that we're solving, I know talking to AWS day in and day out, I can't highlight enough how important it is that we are really the first here at Trend Micro to integrate cloud risk management with XDR. to really support the customer's entire attack surface. That is
Yep.
something that I know AWS has worked with us on several different opportunities on. So we're certainly looking forward to working with you all as well when it comes to protecting customers across within those instances that Fernando just mentioned. So with that, I will pass it over to Kate now. Good segue for her into leveraging Trend to really build sales success around what Shannon and Fernando just highlighted.
Yes, perfect segue. I feel like I'm going to be summarizing both conversations and translating it into our product portfolio. So there's kind of, we'll focus on what Trend's doing internally first around AI to kind of do like predictive opportunities. So as Shannon touched in her presentation, Trend Micro has been incredibly AI forward for the last 20 years. In fact, we just hosted our AI competition in Japan last week. It's a tradition that we do here at Trend. So we're really excited about embracing this business opportunity for us internally to use AI to deliver predictive opportunities, sales opportunities within our customer base. So this takes a lot of historical data, current trends, product usage, marketing information, all the types of things that, when I was a seller, I had to manually dig for and kind of cross my fingers and say, I think they have a buying propensity for this tool. Now with this AI, we're able to correlate that data together and say, hey, we think that there's a very strong possibility. There's an opportunity here for us and our partners. So Trend's going to be proactively leveraging this AI. And that translates to more opportunities and more business conversations for us and our channel partners to engage within our existing accounts for expansion or new accounts for new logo deals. So we're really excited about this. There's lots of ways for us to seize the opportunity. I feel like I'm saying the same words over and over again. But it starts out with that prediction. So layering in that data, correlating it, and the AI saying, hey, strike while the iron is hot. We will proactively come to our partners and say, we have an opportunity for you. We think we have an engaging conversation. You guys can accept or reject the opportunity. That is perfectly fine for you to do. We still leverage our partnerships and it's a two-way street. So more than happy to collaborate with you on this. And then of course, we love our deal registrations. We encourage them. So feel free to submit your deal registration and we will work on closing that deal for you. So very natural food chain in terms of revenue generating activities, but it starts with that AI prediction. So we're really excited about that. What we think those AI predictions might turn into are really from the perspective of customers who are excited about AI. Why Trend Micro? I have a lot of conversations with customers. I work primarily with existing customers, but new logos as well, around AI, not just from the perspective of generative AI, but how are you layering it into your technology? So again, 20 years with AI, but I will say about 6 years ago, we started out with customer-facing technology with machine learning and behavior monitoring, and that goes all over our product set. So if you have customers coming to you and saying, hey, I need a cybersecurity vendor that leverages AI for fill in the blank, zero-day attacks or ransomware prevention or business email compromise. Yes, like Trend Micro, no questions asked. But in terms of specific products and securing a customer journey to AI, like Shannon was talking about, the first one is attack surface risk management. This is quantifying risk across the customer environment, endpoint, servers, cloud, like Fernando talked about, all kinds of opportunities to uncover that risk. I think this is very important because it's going to help you identify when behaviors influence risk levels. Anytime we start introducing, new technologies, new strategies, when users start doing new things within an environment, what's the repercussions of that from a cybersecurity perspective? And you want to be able to react to that as quickly as possible. You don't want that risk to fester. You want to be proactive. And that attack surface management tool allows you to do just that. So I encourage all of my customers, not just from the perspective of AI, but every customer should have attack surface management because we're always implementing new technologies. That's how we move forward. Let's say you have a customer who doesn't really want to embrace AI, or they want to embrace AI, but they want to do so in a very strictly managed fashion, also known as a zero trust mindset. We have something called zero trust secure access that will lock down a user's ability to access AI tools that are not approved by an organization. So whether you're, jumping headfirst into the AI conversation, maybe you're just dipping your toe into the water from a, business operations point of view, we want to do so securely. And zero trust is the method by which you can use. It's the product that you would use to implement that security and restricted access. So that's a great conversation to have in general. Zero trust is another big conversation, but that is our way of locking down that environment if an organization needs it. And finally, Shannon talked a lot about the use cases of Vision One XDR. Fernando talked about XDR for cloud. That's a huge one as well. The XDR component, is not necessarily a new conversation, but with Trend having that generative AI tool companion, being able to really help a SOC team or a SOC-like team dig into those alerts, the companion tool really helps bridge that skills and knowledge gap within those security teams. So whether it's a very large enterprise customer who just needs to be a little bit faster, or it's a smaller customer who doesn't have a dedicated security personnel and they really just need help managing their alerts in a more confident way, Companion will allow them to do that. And XDR is going to be the XDR. Well, say XDR is going to be the XDR tool, but True Micro Vision One XDR will be the detection and response tool that will allow them to do so in the most confident way. So those are 3 ways for you to, talk about product specific conversations with AI or AI strategies, AI security strategies layered into it. But all great things going on at Trend with AI, ways to secure it, and ways that we are helping you as a partner be stronger and be more in tune with some of these sales opportunities. We're really excited to start implementing some of these technologies. That's all I had, Joe, unless we have any questions.
Doesn't look like we have any questions, but I think that was great, and it's a great segue into the next steps and action items that we have for the partners in the room here, because we want to leverage some of these sales plays and work with you, right? So as you can see here, there are 2 QR codes. What this can do is essentially help you connect with trend sellers around some of these opportunities. So if you can scan these QR codes, you would be directed to a what is essentially a sheet to fill out that will alert Trend Micro that we are that you are ready to partner with us, right, around a specific opportunity, whether that be account mapping, or, let's say one specific customer need that you have. You would just fill out the contact info. If you pull it up on your phone or computer right now, you'll be able to see how simple it is. Probably takes 1 to 2 minutes. And just list out your contact info. If you know the trend rep that you want to work with, feel free to put that in there. You could also reach out directly, right? Like that's more than okay. And the other thing would be if there are any specific business needs around any of the ideas or innovations that we spoke about today, feel free to add that to the notes section, and we will be sure to contact you ASAP to start working on those opportunities. But we're definitely excited. I know that we have around 10 minutes left, so I don't want to put the presenters on the spot too much, but I did want to just sort of recap as a way to close this session out, as just sort of one takeaway that you had from each speaker, Shannon, Fernando, and Kate, around what you're looking to really accomplish based on what you learned at reInvent and some of the new innovations that Trend is coming out with in 2024. So I'll pass it over to the team, because wanted to just get your thoughts in summary.
Yeah, for sure. I think helping customers get more visibility over their risk, whether that's AI, whether that's configuration, whether that's from a threat perspective, and surfacing that up in a single place and helping them realize that that is actually something that's possible, I think is really our #1 priority across the company.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited for all of the new technologies that are coming out with AI. There's a you know, I was on the expo floor at reInvent and AI was everywhere. I'm not joking. It was like on every booth. So I'm really excited about the new technologies. However, from my perspective, you know, we've got a lot of coaching and work to do in terms of helping customers secure their environment, because AI is going to make the adversary stronger. Shannon touched on the phishing AI and being able to write stronger emails. Our security is going to help customers be able to move forward in their cybersecurity maturity. But this is a new threat landscape that we need to start adjusting to, because it is moving very, very quickly. So lots of conversations to be had proactively around generative AI and just, you know, the new softwares coming out that are layering in AI. Lots of opportunity for business revenue growth, increased business operations, tons of benefits coming down the pipe. Absolutely. But we have to make sure that we do it securely. And that's going to be an interesting conversation in the coming months.
And don't replicate it, everything AI, right? Again, I probably will edit like two major things. I think the cyber risk that we launch during the reInvent, it's a very unique way for you to help the organizations to have like this quick sense about their risks. There is like multiple types of like a risk in the assessments that you can offer for customers for quick visibility of like what is going on in the cloud infrastructure, email, endpoint, network, and a couple other things that can help them with a better understanding. But I really believe there is a huge opportunity, mainly because I've been talking with like so many customers in this specifically aspect, and it blows my mind how much opportunity there is in this area with like the risk visibility. I thought was kind of like a saturated market for somehow, right? But talking with customers, I started realizing more and more that there is a huge opportunity for all of us to help them with like a better perspective of like their risks, and also helping them with the skill sets that sometimes they don't have today, for like how to fix, how to mitigate, how to reduce those risks in their infrastructure. I see there is a huge opportunity for like all of us to work together on this, specifically conversations with customers. And feel free to reach out to us to see like if there is any way that we can help you better. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And I can echo Fernando as sort of my closing takeaway as well, is with all the integrations we have with AWS, with the visibility that we're giving customers, being able to identify those areas of opportunity is not only going to be essential, but is going to be, you know, a lot easier going forward. Maybe easy is the wrong word, but there's going to be opportunities to work with customers and drive success based on the needs that, you know, AI and this evolving space is bringing to the table. So looking forward to working with you all. I appreciate you taking the time. As Fernando and Shannon and Kate all mentioned, more than happy to help and take questions if you have any. Feel free to reach out. Looking forward to working with you in 2024. Hope you have a good holiday season and close out the year well. But that would be it from us.